Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. It means we're brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Fired up you are with us today. We got a lot to do over the course of the next couple of hours. Joe Burrow and Jayden Daniels on display last night for Monday Night Football. Kind of. It was football. It was on Monday night. Score didn't really matter, and they didn't play all that much. But they were out there last night. I want to talk about those two guys. Glen West of 24/7 Sports going to join us at 1:30, as he always does, to talk Tigers. Auburn's claiming national titles. We'll talk about it. Mike Rodak probably has a word to say about that. He covers the Alabama Crimson Tide for 24/7 Sports. He's going to be with us at 2 o'clock to talk about Ty Simpson being named the starting quarterback in Tuscaloosa. Jam Miller, running back's going to miss a little bit of time. They got a big opener against Florida State as well, so I want to hear about year two under Kalen DeBoer, and we'll hear about that from Mike Rodak at 2 o'clock. Should LSU and Tulane play? Tulane thinks so. I'll talk about it in the second hour, and Sharief Aishak talking some Saints at 2:30. So we are jam-packed for the next 2 hours. Lock us in. Let's crank it up the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Brian Kelly just met with the media about an hour ago and discussed myriad topics of the day as LSU continues to prep for Clemson. Very quickly on the injury front, and then we'll get into the meat of the offensive line, but I do want to pass along some news for those that missed this. Whit Weeks has not practiced the last few days. Did not practice on Friday, did not practice on Monday when the media was out there. He was asked, why did that happen? Simply said, load management. We're just not going to overload Whit at this point. I'm fine with that. That's actually the reason. And Whit's at practice. He had his helmet on Monday, tennis shoes, jersey, observing, in good spirits. I think they're just taking things easy with Whit Weeks. That's fine with me. He's got a surgically repaired leg. Don't want to put more strain on it than you need to over the course of a very hot month that includes a lot of physical play. Okay, that's fine. So I'm good with that. Harold Perkins was not at practice on Monday at all. We didn't see him anywhere in the facility. He was asked why. Personal day. Had to, quote-unquote, take care of some things. He was back out there today at practice. No issues there. And the last note was on Michael Van Buren. LSU's backup quarterback was seen with some tape on his throwing hand. Brian Kelly just said, just jammed his index finger there. No issue. He went through some light throwing. They're going to put some more light throwing on him this afternoon, and he should be ready to go for tomorrow's practice. So, not ideal that your quarterback had a little hand injury, but certainly not anything significant. Michael Van Buren will have missed the last couple of days. Colin Hurley was taking the second-team reps. All should be good there. In totality, and I don't think I'm jinxing anything. I don't need to knock on a bunch of wood or anything. Like, I'm just stating the very obvious. LSU has managed workloads very strategically. They have not exceeded 2 hours at practice. They've done some work inside. They've had recovery days when they have a physical day, the day before and after. They take some time off their feet. And LSU right now is very healthy moving forward into camp. Again, I don't think that's some sort of wild jinxing statement. It's just stating a fact. We're at practice a few times a week. I don't see a lot of red no-contact jerseys. In fact, none on the players that aren't the quarterbacks. And they feel like they've gotten work done, but have done so in a smart manner, if you will. And it appears that way. So no significant updates on those guys, just your normal camp stuff. Day off here, bump and bruise here, personal day off here. Everybody appears to be moving forward this week. So that was the news on attendance and the issues off the field. Let's talk about on the field offensive line. The story yesterday when we went to practice was very clearly that you were seeing shakeup on the offensive line. Paul Mabinga and DJ Chester rotating at left guard. Mabinga was getting more of the first-team reps. And then you saw Carius Kern, who had been almost exclusively at left tackle, moving to the right side to compete with Weston Davis over there. They both worked with the first team on Monday, and you feel like that competition is ongoing. Well, Brian Kelly was asked about it today, and we didn't have time to cut that audio up, but I've got all the quotes right here. And this is what Brian Kelly said in regards to the entirety of the offensive line. Tyree is going to be our starting left tackle, meaning Tyree Adams. We knew that. Okay. I think there's still a battle between Paul and Cohen for one of the guard positions. That's Paul Mabinga and Cohen Eccles. Now, Cohen Eccles usually plays right guard when we watch, but they're suggesting potentially Paul Mabinga and Cohen Eccles competing at left guard. Thompson has nailed down one of the guard positions. Braylon has nailed down the center position, and I think there's still a battle for that next tackle position. So to pare that down and say it a little bit more succinctly, Tyree Adams left tackle, Braylon Moore center, Josh Thompson right guard. Right tackle and left guard still up for competition. DJ Chester was not mentioned by Brian Kelly in that quote. Wilson Alexander from The Advocate followed up and said, hey, you didn't mention DJ. Is he still involved there? And Brian Kelly said, in some ways, we're doing a disservice to him because we've got him playing center, guard. He's playing a little bit of right tackle. He's competing for a starting position as well. But we can't put them all out there. Somebody's going to have to be in a rotational position, whether it's Paul, Cohen, DJ, Weston, Carius. Those are all guys that are going to eventually play. So, look, I generally am going to pay more attention to what we see on the field as opposed to what a coach says in a press conference. I think it's possible that Brian Kelly forgot to mention DJ Chester in that guard competition. Maybe it's not. I'm just guessing that. It happens at times. I'll put all the cards out on the table because you will probably hear this quote on Matt's show when they cut it up and play it 1 hour from right or 2 hours from right now. He called Josh Thompson by the wrong name. He called him Justin. They don't have a Justin. It's Josh. It's Thompson. He probably slammed those two together and came up with Justin. At times, players, coaches in front of a microphone, in front of cameras, will fudge a name. It happens. Sometimes you forget somebody. It happens. I do 10 hours of radio a week in front of this microphone. I forget stuff in the middle of the train of my thought all the time. It just happens. And so he may have just forgotten to say DJ Chester's name. He may be serious that Paul Mabinga and Cohen Eccles are more likely competing for that spot at guard. I've seen DJ Chester take a lot of first-team reps, so I don't necessarily believe he's completely out of the picture. But the point that Brian Kelly made today is essentially we have 3 spots nailed down. We have 4 guys between the 2 other spots, and a lot of guys are going to play. And I've seen Brad Davis do this over the course of his time at LSU. You have seen rotation at offensive line spots. Not as much last year because you really had exactly what you wanted last year. You had 4 guys who were entrenched starters, and then you put a center out there and you didn't take him off the field. But you've seen rotations. Brad Davis's first year under Brian Kelly here, 2022, you did see significant rotation. You saw guys being mixed and matched. And that happened, and it wasn't a great offensive line. Jayden Daniels kind of masked that, but it shows that they're not afraid to rotate some guys, whether that's for fresh legs, whether that's dictated by the spot in the game. If you've got a 10-point lead with 10 minutes to go in the game and you want to get a team out there that's more adept at running the football, put that guy out there. If you're down 10 with 3 minutes to go and you feel like you need to put the guy that's better at pass protection in there put him in there. Like you may have some different skill sets. I don't know what DJ Chester is better at than Cohen Eccles. I don't know what Paul Mabinga is better at than Cohen Eccles. I have no idea. I don't know what Cohen Eccles' skill set is best suited for. I've seen Cohen Eccles essentially play in half of one game, the Texas Bowl. I've seen Paul Mabinga play in 4 games. I've seen DJ Chester play center, not much guard. And again, I'm not an offensive line savant, so I couldn't tell you. I can tell you right now that Berrien Brown is faster than Kyle Parker and Nick Anderson. I can tell you right now that Nick Anderson is 6'3" and Aaron Anderson is 5'8", and they play completely different styles of football. I can tell you Jack Pyburn is a better run defender than Patrick Payton. There are skill sets on this team that I can look at a given position and go, this is what they need that guy to do. This is what this guy is better at. This competition, I can't handicap in that way. It's very difficult to evaluate individual offensive linemen in an 11-on-11 while we're at practice at field level. When they snap the ball, there is just a massive collision of like 11 guys at the line of scrimmage, and singling out 2 of them and determining how that worked out, if it's not the tackle right in front of you, is tough to do play in and play out, especially when you're trying to follow the ball and you're trying to evaluate the linebackers and you're trying to look at what's going on in the secondary and who's rotated in at safety for that snap, and there's just a lot of stuff happening. So I can't give you a perfect synopsis of what LSU looks like for the Clemson game at offensive line in terms of rotation or who the starters are. I can tell you what we see at practice. And my sincere guess, which is just that, it's an educated guess, is that Adams will be the left tackle. I think Mabenga is surging at left guard. Braylon Moore will be the center. Josh Thompson will play right guard. And I think they're testing Carius Curran with Weston Davis at right tackle. I think Weston Davis ultimately wins that job and is the first guy out there. But Brian Kelly said this today. I don't think you're going to see 5 guys trotting out here every single play. You're going to see some other guys definitely getting into the game as well. So I think you might see 6 or 7 offensive linemen against Clemson. I'm basing this on what we've seen at practice, which is rotation, and what Brian Kelly is saying in the press conference. I don't have any other information to go off of. It seems like a pretty reasonable conclusion to draw. I think you have unproven players, competition at different places, and ultimately they're going to need to see some game reps. And this is why I would really like to play Clemson in week 2 or 3. But you're not. You're playing them in week 1. And this is what we've talked about all summer long with trying to get ready for that first game. You want to set your depth chart and get moving. And unfortunately for LSU at this point, based on what we're seeing at practice and what we're hearing from Brian Kelly in the press conferences, it's not settled at offensive line. They're still looking at things, and you're 11 games from kickoff. And oh, by the way, Clemson might have 2 top 10 picks on the defensive front. So it's not ideal. It's not a disaster. It's just unsettled at this point. We'll see what LSU can come up with in the next 11 days. And I'm endlessly fascinated with what we see on Saturday night inside Tiger Stadium at 7:30 when we're going to be able to watch them practice and I would assume run a number of plays. Who's out there on the offensive line and how do they look? I'll tell you this. I will have a better sense of what that offensive line looks like from that vantage point. Me personally, again, not an offensive line savant. Nobody's ever asked me to coach or evaluate offensive linemen, but I'll have a better vantage point of who's playing well and where pressures are coming from the press box seat that we have up above at film level than I will on field level 15 yards from the line of scrimmage with a massive humanity crashing into each other. It's just an easier vantage point for us. I think you'll get a better read from the media on how the offensive line plays on Saturday than you will have really from any practice thus far that we've been able to watch. So we'll tell you. We'll talk about it on Monday's show for sure, and we'll write it up Saturday night on LouisianaSports.net as well. Looking forward to getting inside Tiger Stadium for the first time since LSU Oklahoma last year. Did I go to the spring game? I did go to the spring game. Forgot. That's how impactful I think the spring game is. But nice to get inside Tiger Stadium this coming Saturday. Looking forward to that. That's our Genesis opening drive here on this Tuesday. We will step aside. I want to talk about 2 former LSU Heisman winners that have big seasons ahead. Let's talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carpenter's team, they're experts when it comes to the tactical side of insurance. That's how they win clients. That's how they retain clients. That's how they build relationships because they're great at identifying issues with insurance programs and fixing them. The worst thing that can happen if you're a business owner with your insurance is to spend a significant amount of money on premium, have a hole in your policy, whether that's an exclusion or an oversight, and then have an uncovered loss that you then have to pay on top of your premium. That's the worst thing that can happen. They can't control hurricanes at the Highland Insurance Group. They can't control car accidents at the Highland Insurance Group. They can't control lawsuits. What they can control is what your insurance policy does and the way it responds. If you want to be sure that your insurance program is up to par with what you're paying for, contact the Highland Insurance Group and have them audit it for free. They'll do it for free. They'll tell you what they find. If there are significant issues, move to them. They're right here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide. You can find them online at HighlandIG.com. Insurance is never the most fun thing to talk about. It can be very, very, very important. And you never know when. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Check them out online. HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioneer Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
We will chat with Glen West, senior writer at Go 24/7, coming up here in 15 minutes. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. If you're looking for some land outside the city, whether that's for hunting property, whether that's for agriculture, whether that's for a secondary home, or whether you're just ready to get out of the hustle and bustle and put your roots down somewhere outside the city, Daryl May can help you do that. He's a guy who has done that himself. From Baton Rouge, Catholic high grad, now calls St. Francisville home. Wanted a little bit more space. If you're like Daryl, let Daryl help you. He's happy to do that, whether that's in Louisiana, in the Felicianas, in Point Capee, wherever the case may be, or up in Mississippi, in Woodville, or anywhere up towards Natchez as well. Daryl May can help you out with that. Trusty Properties is a name you can trust. We bring you our Tuesday shows each and every week here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Cranked up the old television last night, and I don't know that I realized that Washington and Cincinnati were playing on quote-unquote Monday Night Football. And Joe and Jayden both got out there and played, and they both played pretty well. Joe led a couple touchdown drives. Jayden led a touchdown drive on the only drive that he played, ran it in from about 15 yards out, showing that athleticism. And then Lisa Salter said, "Why didn't you just get down?" And Jayden goes, I wanted to score. And I get that. It's been interesting to watch the Bengals in preseason because quarterbacks at Joe Burrow's level don't play in the preseason, except they do now when they're Joe Burrow, because the Bengals start every single season 1-4, 0-3, 1-2, 1-4. It's just every year they get off to a terrible start. They seemingly always drop a stinker to Cleveland. Last year they inexplicably lost a home game to New England, which knocked me out of Survivor in week 1. And so Zach Taylor's looking at this going, we got to change something. You got to play in the preseason. I looked up, they were almost at the end of the first quarter, and Jamar Chase is out there running routes. And you know what? I'm fine with it. find a way to get things moving, because the situation has not been that the Bengals have been a bad team in any of these Joe Burrow years that have resulted in the playoffs being missed. He got hurt his rookie year. He got hurt 2 years ago. But they're getting off to such bad starts that when they play 8-4 football down the stretch, it's not enough. And they've got to figure out a way to get things started a little bit more quickly, because the AFC is not getting any softer. The Bills are going to be good. Baltimore is going to be good. The Chiefs, probably going to be pretty good. So they've got to find a way to keep pace with those teams early in the year. So I like the fact that they're playing a good bit. You look at the way the Bengals start this year. They start on the road at Cleveland. They should win that game. They should not be losing, even with a good defense on the road, to Joe Flacco in Cleveland. Cincinnati should go win that game. Then they play Jacksonville in Cincinnati. That's a game they should win. Then they're at Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy's there. It's not Kirk Cousins anymore. What do we know? I feel like they've got a roster that can go win that game. Then you're at Denver, which is going to be difficult. Then you got Detroit and at Green Bay, and all of a sudden with Pittsburgh, it's going to get tough. They need to get off to a decent start. And so I'm for the Bengals cranking things up with their starters in the preseason. This is a big year for Joe, because he still absolutely gets put in that category of the elite quarterbacks. And so does Josh Allen. He hadn't played in a Super Bowl, and Joe has. But you got Mahomes, and you've got Allen, and you've got Lamar, who is still as good a quarterback as there is in the league, coming off an MVP year. Does Joe need to do something besides go 8-8 to keep his footing there? I personally, out of a selfish, January's not a lot of fun around here, a lot. Football's over for LSU. Baseball's still 5 weeks away. I kind of like my weekends to have some Bengals football in them. I don't think the Saints are going to be occupied any of my January. I'd like Joe to do that. They need to get off to a better start. And now you got an insurance policy with Joe. Jayden now has to follow up where he was the toast of the NFL last year with another great season. And you've got some disgruntled folks over there in Washington. You've got Terry McLaurin, who's cranky, and that's understandable. And Brian Robinson's apparently on the trading block as well. And it's a tough spot for the Redskins. I shouldn't say tough spot. It's a tough look for them to not be paying some folks when you realize that you're still not paying Jayden Daniels for 3 more years. You've got him on the rookie deal. Splurge a little bit on some of these skill guys. Keep them happy while Jayden's cheap, because we know that once the price tag goes through the roof, which it will on Jayden at some point, you're going to have to make some difficult decisions. And Cincinnati's finding that out right now with Trey Hendrickson. I think they made a bad decision with T. Higgins, but whatever. That's their decision. With Jayden on the cheap, you've got to pay some guys. And I'm confident that Jayden Daniels is going to rise to the occasion this year. There were no expectations on him last year. There are now massive expectations on him. And I think he's built for that kind of thing. Y'all watched him here. Y'all saw his temperament. It never changes. It doesn't change if it's 4th and 7 in a huge game. It doesn't change if he's got Heisman hopes on his back. It doesn't change if he's playing in the NFL playoffs. All of that stuff, he's just handled in stride. He never looks sped up. He never looks like he's moving too fast. He rarely makes a decision that's even questionable. And his efficiency is just remarkable. And it was the same thing we saw in Baton Rouge that just immediately transferred to the NFL. It was just immediate. He was comfortable. He looked it, at least. We didn't think Washington's roster was great last year, and he kind of drug it. And then they went out this past offseason because they had salary cap room and made some moves. And you feel like things are changing there in Washington. With Dan Snyder out as the owner, you got an ownership group that people like, to use a pretty blunt term. And then you've got a head coach who's got some skins on the wall in the NFL, who's a great defensive mind. You've got Cliff Kingsbury refreshed after some time away and enjoying calling plays for a young dynamic quarterback. There's so many things to like about what's going on in Washington. And to me, as an LSU guy who's not fully a Saints guy, I want them to win, but I don't lose a lot of sleep over it. I enjoy having these two guys in my world on Sundays. Like, I've never really had that. If y'all are unfamiliar in any way with my NFL upbringing, like, I was a Cowboys fan while they were killing people in the 90s. And then they got Quincy Carter, and I was in, like, 5th grade, and I just completely dropped it. It just gone. And I've watched the NFL mindlessly and heartlessly, honestly. There just hasn't been any pull at all for 20 years. And now, with these two Heisman winners who I watched and covered on the pre- and post-game show, it's changed my Sundays. And I think it's really, really cool that one's in the NFC, one's in the AFC. And, yeah, with the Saints in a full-on rebuild, these two guys give me some juice on Sundays. And it was cool to watch them out there last night. I retweeted a Bengals tweet that had those two dapping it up after the game was over. And I think both are primed for a huge year. And I think both teams are threats to win their division. I think both teams are threats to make the playoffs. I think both teams are threats to make a push in their conference. Do I think the Bills are probably better than the Bengals? Yeah. Do I think the Chiefs are going to be tough to unseat for the Bengals? Yeah. Do I think the Ravens are every bit as good, if not better than the Bengals? Yeah. Do I think Joe gives the Bengals a chance every Sunday and they can make the Super Bowl? Yeah, I do. They got to get better on defense, definitely. But he's that good. Jamar's that good. Their offensive line didn't look great last night. We'll see. But with Jayden, like, do I think the Eagles are better? Yeah. Do I think he can make up for that? Yeah. I think they can play with Detroit. I think San Francisco takes a step back. I don't trust anybody in the South. That includes Tampa. Like, I think that these two quarterbacks, these two LSU guys, give you a shot. And if you're a South Louisiana fan who's a diehard Saints fan that's feeling like this may not be a great fall to watch the Hoodats, that sucks. I get it. But maybe this is just a little bit of a... It doesn't make up for it if you're a diehard Saints fan. I would never even attempt to insinuate that. It is not the same. But if you're looking for an alternative, after the Saints are over, what can I watch to cheer me up after this loss? These two guys might be the guys if you're a diehard LSU fan as well. Good to see those guys on national TV, and I think I realize it's a preseason game, and I'm not going to read too much into a preseason television decision, but I think you're going to see a lot of these guys in the years to come in prime time because they're a huge TV draw. And again, this is another piece to the puzzle with LSU where I talk about this ridiculous heater that LSU is on with national exposure all across the platforms of sports, whether it's the WNBA or the Major League Baseball or the MLB draft or winning national championships or whatever the case may be. Like, this is just another piece to that. And I think the reason these two teams played in week 2 of the preseason, where you figured you would probably get both of these quarterbacks out there for a short period of time, that's a decision made based on their star power. And I think that's very, very cool. I think that's a hat tip to LSU as well. So cool to see Joe and Jayden. Hope they have monster years coming up this fall. Let's transition to LSU football. We'll talk to Glen West, senior editor at Go 24/7, when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Louisville Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. It's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item. We prominently feature it in social.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday shows brought to you by Daryl May, Trusty Properties, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Daryl May with Trusty Properties is a name you can trust. Got to the Gems Firearms Hotline. Glen West, senior writer over at Go 24/7, giving us a little time here on this Tuesday as he does. Glenn, how are you?
Doing well, Hunt. Just was going to ask you, are there any championships you want to claim? Any extra rings out there that are up for grabs?
My intramural basketball championship is cemented in LSU UREC lore. I don't have to go back and change that. We won that one on the floor. Auburn is a little pitiful. We'll talk about that later on in this hour. I'm curious. You listened to Brian Kelly today, and you heard him talk about the offensive line. I went through it in my first segment. They're talking about competition at right tackle, competition at left guard. What do you read into his comments, understanding what you have watched on the practice field?
Yeah, I think, look, I think you got to take everything with a grain of salt because I do think that there are some open competitions that are still going on at left guard and at right tackle. It does sound like, Tyree Adams, Braylon Moore, Josh Thompson, that group of three right there is pretty set in the starting lineup. But I honestly thought that one of the more interesting ways he put it today was that at left guard, sounds like Paul Mubanga and Cohen Eccles are the two favorites right now at that job. And we asked to follow up a little bit later in the press conference about DJ Chester, and he said he's still competing at that left guard spot, but they also got him playing center. They got him playing a little right tackle. And so I think this is still very much up in the air between a group of about 5 or 6 players to get those last 2 spots. And so we walked out there for practice on Monday, and we saw Paul Mubanga with the first team at left guard, and we saw Karius Kern at right tackle with the first team. Couple periods in, Weston Davis was getting some first team reps at right tackle as we were walking out. And it looked like he was going to be kind of in that rotation. So I think that there's that grouping of players there that they're still trying to figure out who the best are that's going to play there to at least start the season. And really, I think probably the more important part of this or the more important piece of this is that BK said in one of his last kind of answers to that question was that all these guys are going to play for us. I think there's some truth to that. I think that they're going to have a pretty consistent rotation at those two spots with a number of guys, 5 or 6, that are going to be rotating in at the beginning of the season and seeing which ones stick by, I guess, the middle part of the year.
Do you consider that concerning or just normal training camp stuff?
It's not ideal. I mean, I think probably the first part of the first couple weeks, what I really liked about the offensive line, despite it not going, or despite some of its struggles, was that they had settled on a 5. Like, I mean, there was a very consistent 5 for the first 2 or 3 weeks of camp, and my whole thing was like, just give those guys more reps and more time together on the field and see what it looks like. But obviously, LSU's gotten to a point here where they want to, mix things up and get, a couple guys into the mix here, or add a couple guys that were rotating in to be those, to see what they look like next to those other starters. So I guess that's my way of saying that not really, but you also can't really if LSU doesn't feel like that they have those positions settled, the best course of action is to get as many guys in there as possible between now and Clemson to see which ones work the best.
I wouldn't consider the defensive line a spot where you really care about starters. That's going to rotate no matter what. So if you take defensive line out of it and then you look at the offensive line, do you feel like there are any other position battles of note that are not decided as game week approaches?
Not really. Like, I think there's going to be a very consistent rotation at wide receiver. I think, obviously running back and tight ends are pretty settled. Who's going to play at those spots. I think really the one other position other than the offensive line, maybe going into last week, that you still kind of felt like was maybe a little up in the air was safety. But I think Tamarcus Cooley and AJ Halsey are going to be your 2 safeties against Clemson. That's been a very consistent rotation. At cornerback, I think you're going to see Monsieur Delane, and then a combination of Ashton Stamps and PJ Woodland, maybe a little DJ Pickett or Jakeem Jackson somewhere in there as well. But I feel like they have kind of the grouping of players everywhere else that are going to play a lot in that Clemson game. Outside of the offensive line, that still remains a little bit unsettled with left guard and right tackle.
If I gave you a free $5 bet on who plays more snaps against Clemson, Ashton Stamps or PJ Woodland, what would you say?
I would still probably lean Ashton Stamps. I think PJ Woodland's been the bigger playmaker to this point in camp. I think he's been one of the better playmakers in the entire secondary. But I do think Ashton Stamps has the experience on his side. I have seen some strides from him from a development standpoint here in year 3. He's very confident. I mean, we talked to him last week or 2 weeks ago, and this is a guy who's very very sure of himself and very sure that he can play at this level and be a really good experienced piece for LSU in that defensive backfield. So I would probably lean towards Ashton Stamps. He's the one that's been getting the most first team reps opposite of Delane, but certainly not counting out PJ Woodland having a major role in that game as well.
What about Xavier Thomas's role? We've seen him a lot.
Yeah, I went down a list of a player that has improved the most throughout the course of fall camp for a piece over at our site this morning, and Xavier was the guy that I pegged as the wide receiver because I've really liked what I've seen from him the last couple weeks. He's making all the catches. He's really improving his route running as well. Like, he's just getting open all the time, and Nussmeier and those guys are finding him in the middle of the field. And I think kind of the stigma coming in with him was that he was just going to be kind of a gadget guy, somebody that you could get the ball to in the backfield for a couple touches or maybe a couple screens and see what he can make of it. But I really think he can be a decent part of this passing game, and just going to be about how you rotate those 6 guys in, because there's really been a myriad of players that are getting around the same kind of targets from Nussmeier in this passing offense, which is a good problem to have. But Xavier is certainly, I think, going to be in that mix, and certainly a lethal weapon in the return game as well. So I've really liked what I've seen for him this camp. I think he's really developed from last year.
You have an inkling of who the punt returner might be? I know they send the same 5 guys back there. Only one's going to be back there in the game. Who do you think it'll be? Who would you put back there?
I think it'll be Xavier, and I would probably put Xavier back there too. I mean, he's proven that he can be a really special punt returner, and I think probably the thing that LSU really needs more than anything is just the pieces around him to fit in that return game. I think last year there just weren't a whole lot of avenues or a lot of ways for him to have success in the punt return game. And I think every time, or most of the times that we've been out there, we've seen a lot of punt coverage work going on with the special teams when they have gone onto those periods. And so I think opening up those holes for him and giving him ways and avenues to be a little bit more explosive in the return game will really open him up and be a game changer for LSU this year if they're able to capitalize on it.
Next Tuesday, we'll be talking Clemson, so let's talk a little bigger picture here. How do you feel about it? If you want to give a record prediction or kind of what you're maybe something that, well, let's start there. How do you feel about the season? Is there a record prediction that you have at this point?
Yeah, I'm kind of going back and forth between a couple of record predictions. I don't want to put anything on the spot quite yet, but I do like this team as a whole. Like, I think the one thing that you can say is that the depth and the talent is much improved from any previous Brian Kelly team that we've had or that LSU's had over the last couple of years. Like, they should be able to compete in every single game, and they're very capable of winning every single game on their schedule. But you and I talked about it last week. I mean, the schedule is brutal. I mean, it's a really, really difficult schedule. I think I heard you mention that there are about 4 or 5 games in that 3 to 7 range of your rankings of the kind of difficulty that you could put any of them in any spot, and it wouldn't be the wrong answer. So I think that just tells you just how difficult the schedule is going to be. But at the same time, this roster was built to handle a schedule like this. And so there really are no excuses. Whether there's injuries, there should be a next man up at most of these positions. So I feel like the depth and the quality of talent is as good as it's been. But there's always going to be that hesitancy when it comes to this team and winning those tight games, winning those big games on a consistent basis. So I think right now I probably have this as a two-loss team. That's kind of my prediction right now. I guess I gave you my prediction there to kind of round out my answer. But yes, 10-2 is kind of where I'm leaning right now with this group, which puts them right in the middle of that college football playoff. And certainly, then the question becomes whether or not you're going on the road to a team or you're hosting or, what happens there. But I think that's probably where I'm leaning right now.
Do you feel better about the offense or the defense?
I feel better about this defense. I mean, I'm not sure that that's something that I would have said 2-3 months ago. Like, I've been very impressed by how consistently aggressive that group has been and how many guys that they're rotating in and out who are all performing pretty well. Another couple of guys that I mentioned in that piece that I just talked about were Tylen Singleton at linebacker, were DJ Pickett at cornerback. Like, there's a number of different guys that I think that might not even be starters, but who could be contributing role players on this team that can go out and make plays for you on the defensive side of the ball. And that's just not something that we've had at LSU here for the last really 5 or 6 years, ever since the championship team. There hasn't been that quality of depth that they've had on that side of the ball. So I think the offense long-term is going to be great. I think that they have so many explosive weapons on that side of the ball that it's kind of hard not to be a really good offense, but it's just the short term here. How do they get all those pieces working together is going to be the biggest question for me, and that starts obviously up front with the offensive line. Here's
a pretty irrelevant question, but one I'm curious to your answer on personally. Like, what do you make of us getting to see the team 7 days before kickoff in Tiger Stadium? That's, to me, unprecedented. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I was planning on going home to New Orleans one last time this weekend, and I had to scrap those plans because I think that tells me that Brian Kelly's very confident in the group that he has. I mean, you're right. I mean, just not even this upcoming weekend, but just the access that the media has had throughout the entirety of fall camp has been unlike anything I've been around since covering the team in 2016, 2017 when I first started as a student. So I think that's a good sign. If you're a fan out there and you want all the intel and all the analysis, I think it's really good to kind of get an inkling of what this group looks like going into the season. And, we're not out there breaking formations or breaking play calls or anything like that. We're just telling you who looks good and what needs to be improved. And I think that that's something that they've that we should all be really appreciative and grateful of, that they've opened up for us here in the first, this first fall camp.
We'll see you Saturday night.
All right. See you, Hunt.
Glen West, senior writer, Go 24/7 team coverage, recruiting coverage. If you're looking forward, they got you covered over there at Go 24/7. Glenn gives us a little bit of time here every single Tuesday. We'll talk Alabama Crimson Tide. What's new in Tuscaloosa? We'll do that in 15 minutes. Closing out hour number 1 coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. My favorite model that they have is the GV80. It's their midsize SUV. Kind of fits what the Palmer family would fit in there with two young kiddos. If you're in a similar situation and you're looking for a new vehicle, Genesis needs to be on your list. Go by and see them, Airline Highway at Pico. If you're buying a new vehicle in Baton Rouge, you're probably going to be on Airline anyway. There's a lot of car dealerships there. Make one more stop at Genesis. See the line, work with their incredible sales team, experience the ambiance, the staff, the customer service, and all that comes with buying a Genesis. Speaking of that, America's Best Warranty comes with buying a Genesis. You're talking about 100,000 miles on your limited powertrain warranty. You're talking about a new vehicle bumper-to-bumper warranty, 5 years, 60,000 miles. You're talking about enhanced roadside assistance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, complimentary scheduled maintenance. All that comes with your new purchase at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them, Airline at Pico. Find the entire inventory online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item, we prominently feature it in social media, on our website, but we do it because it's the right thing to do for the community.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So yesterday, you may have heard, I threw some bouquets at Auburn, doing the right thing, retiring Cam Newton's jersey. I talked about how Cam is one of the best players I've ever watched with my own two eyes, and absolutely deserving of that honor on the Plains. And today, Auburn did something else. They announced to everyone, hey, hope you're listening. Here's a press release. We just claimed 4 more national championships. We now have 9. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. Where it starts, and the root of this, is actually not with Auburn. Where it starts is college football's inherent flaw for decades and decades and decades, where you just kind of pulled a national champion out of thin air. Alabama claims one where they lost like 3 or 4 games or something. It's a flawed world that we lived in for a very, very long time, where everybody kind of plays separately, and then we get a group together and they go, okay, you're the champ. And we did that for a very long time, and we've addressed it. We addressed it with the BCS and addressed it with the 4-team playoff and addressed it with the 12-team playoff, and the playoff will grow, and there will be an opportunity, and you'll have your one named national champion, and no one will have to play these games anymore. But my contention is that championships are won in the moment. I'm very, very fortunate. I was in the Superdome when LSU beat Oklahoma to win a national championship in January of 2004. I was a student in 2007, 2008 when they beat Ohio State. I was doing the pre- and post-game show and was in the Dome for 2019, 2020 against Clemson. I was in Omaha in 2023 with my dad. I was there for LouisianaSports.net in 2025. I've watched LSU win national championships. I can still walk to the exact bar stool I was sitting at walk-ons when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. And those moments in time are what make a national championship great. Being able to experience that season, the ride up to it, whether it's in football with the SC championship and now playoff games and winning the national championship, in baseball, the regional and the super in Omaha and the whole thing, and everybody can remember, just what they were doing when LSU was playing nightly in 2023 after they lost the game to Wake Forest, and that journey and that moment where it ends. That's where the national championship and the championship essence is for the fans and the players as well. And I've said this many times, you could go back right now and tell me that LSU has vacated every national championship they've ever won. You got to take all the flags down, you got to tear the Intimidator down, and it wouldn't bother me at all because I was there and I watched all of it. And I experienced in the moment, oftentimes with people that I love, that's the beauty of a championship. And so to take it away at this point wouldn't mean anything to me, and to give it at this point doesn't mean anything. If Auburn feels like they're doing the right thing and that the people who were associated with the 2004 undefeated Auburn team are somehow now more validated than ever by the fact that they've put flags up in the stadium, fine. You're not going to offend anybody. You're not going to offend me. But it seems silly, and that's the word I would use. I wouldn't use stupid. I wouldn't use fake. I would use silly. It's silly to stand up on your soapbox on your table and yell, hey, we're the champions from 20 years ago. Hey, we're the champions in some cases in these 4 titles 60 years ago. Respect us. That's silly. It's silly. That 2004 Auburn team certainly has amazing memories of winning all those games together. I'm sure they still have bitter memories of finding out that they weren't going to get to play for the title. It was going to be USC and it was going to be Oklahoma. That's bitter. And you saw USC just dispatch Oklahoma, and that's probably bitter when you feel like you could have put up a better fight. But the fact of the matter is that we put rules in place for the BCS. We determined how we were going to crown a champion, and we did that, and you weren't in. So I'm not going to run to Auburn and Harvey Updike style burn the flags that they hang. I'm not going to really comment further on any banners they put up, and I'm not going to tell the 2004 Auburn team if they get new rings made that they need to pawn those. I don't care, but it's silly. And it to me is all about in the moment. And the moment has passed for those teams. So to come back and yell from the rooftops and make a deal and a spectacle out of the fact that you feel like you've been shorted 4 championships is silly. And what you're really doing is getting in bed with Alabama, because you've undoubtedly made fun of Alabama for doing the same thing for decades. And isn't that the exact antithesis of what you want to be as Auburn? Again, I'm here in Baton Rouge. I don't give a rip what they do. They can claim the 2019 national championship for all I care. I watched the real ones, and I'll celebrate that. They can do whatever they want. But it's silly. And I think the people in power that made the decision are doing something silly. That's my take on Auburn claiming extra national championships. 9-time champions on the Plains. Put some respect on their name. That's it for hour number 1. You missed any of it, catch it on demand. Talked a lot of LSU football, offensive line in the first segment. Then we chatted with Glen West as well. We'll talk some Alabama football after SportsCenter as we pause for national headlines. If you missed any of the first hour, search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, and review Hunt on LSU, where you can find all of our LSU content. We're back with hour number 2 on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Louisville Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Christine Lisi. Another NFL quarterback decision has been made. The Colts named Daniel Jones their starter for the season, with Coach Shane Steichen saying he doesn't want a short-term leash on that. Indy's 2023 first-round pick, Anthony Richardson, will back up Jones. His future with the Colts, uncertain. ESPN NFL analyst Damian Woody.
Anthony Richardson's career is not over. It's not over by far, because someone is going to either trade, or inevitably, if he gets cut, someone's going to pick him up. He just has too much talent.
Fifth-ranked Notre Dame's named redshirt freshman C.J. Carr its starting quarterback. His first career start against Miami August 31st. He is the grandson of former Michigan coach Lloyd Carr. Four-star running back Savion Hyder, the number 2 running back in 2026, has committed to Michigan. Pacers coach Rick Carlisle agreed to a multi-year extension a couple of months after leading the team to its first NBA Finals appearance in 25 years. Baseball, Giancarlo Stanton returns to the Yankees lineup tonight in Tampa after missing 3 games with general soreness.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Wednesday. Months ago, I said the Cowboys should trade Micah Parsons. I'll tell you why they still have time to make the right move. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Got a lot to do over the next hour. We'll talk to Sharief Aishak coming up in 30 minutes on the black and gold. We've been touring LSU's schedule thus far as we get ready for the season opener of college football. It's time now to head to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and check in on the Crimson Tide. To do that, we bring in Mike Rodak from Bama 24/7. Joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Mike, we appreciate a little bit of time. How are you?
Doing pretty well.
So I'm curious, before we kind of get into this team, what are the vibes like in Tuscaloosa after a year post-Saban? Obviously disappointing year last year, but is the confidence level still very high there?
Yeah, I mean, it was high last year. I think a lot of people were, obviously hopeful that things wouldn't skip a beat, and I think they felt confirmed, when you won the Georgia game, and then everything kind of fell apart after that, the Vandy and Tennessee and obviously the Oklahoma games, and people were kind of wondering, like, what's going wrong with this team? And there's, little things that came out here and there about, players being late for meetings and not being enough focus and discipline and all that. And so you kind of turned the page to this year, and they really tried to send a message to players in the off season, like, you got to tighten that stuff up. And if, you're not going to do it, then you're not going to be here. So, it's, I think, a renewed focus. There's the idea of, like, players being bought more into Kalen DeBoer. This is more Kalen DeBoer's roster. I think that's true to an extent. There's still a decent amount of players that were recruited by Nick Saban. But, yeah, I think there's more positive vibes, obviously more hopeful vibes that a second year in the program and, the word continuity comes up a whole lot, can yield better results. But, it's still, you got to prove it on the field. And I think that's obviously going to be really soon here when we're going to see that.
How big a deal is the offensive coordinator change and reuniting Kalen DeBoer with the guy that he's been with before?
Yeah, I mean, they were one of the best offenses in the country at Washington for 2 years there. I mean, they, yardage-wise, were right there, and obviously they threw the ball a ton with Michael Penix and the receivers that they had. And I think there was, again, optimism last year that could be replicated, that there was going to be a new version of Jalen Milroe who could do what Michael Penix did. And you had Ryan Williams, you had Jeremy Bernard, you had some talent at receiver last year. It just never really came together, and it probably got worse as the season went on, to be honest. So now you bring back Ryan Grubb, who spent the year, last year at the Seahawks, that in the end didn't really work out for him, and maybe that unlocks whatever they couldn't do last year. And you have a quarterback change as well. And I think, you're going to see an offense that tries to throw the ball more, obviously less oriented around the quarterback run as it was with Milroe last year. They're probably deeper at receiver, especially bringing in Isaiah Horton, who was a pretty productive player last year in Miami with Cam Ward. And, if they can block for him, if they can have a running game that sets up the passing game, then there's a pretty high ceiling for this group. But again, a new starting quarterback, you just lost your starting running back for a few games, and we'll have to see how that comes together.
I want to talk about both of those situations. We'll start with quarterback Ty Simpson wins that job. How close was the competition with Keelan Russell, and what do you expect to see from Ty Simpson in that role?
Yeah, it always felt like it was Ty's job to lose, and I don't think anybody was really surprised when it actually happened. I think they wanted to keep the door open. For Keelan coming in as a freshman, and he's the highest-rated recruit to come to Alabama in the history of 24/7 Sports' database. So he's a elite talent, as Kalen DeBoer likes to say, and he's been here now since January. So it's not like the freshmen of old where you're just not going to start him at all. I think there was legitimately a chance given to see what he could do in fall camp and see what Austin Mack could do, who's the quarterback who followed DeBoer from Washington, a big 6'6" kid. And at the end of the day, Ty just showed to be the steadiest, most reliable player. And I think the ceiling for Keelan Russell is obviously higher, for Ty. And maybe there's a point, if it doesn't work out for Ty in the middle of the year, where you can make a change. But for right now, they're with Ty. And I think there's a lot of optimism on what he can do, because himself, he was a 5-star prospect 4 years ago. And I don't know if he's ever completely shown that in practice to get himself on the field to win a competition against Jalen Milroe. But if he can, avoid the turnovers that kind of plagued Milroe by the end of last year, if he can get the ball to those receivers, which this could be the best receiving group in the country, then he'll be in a pretty good spot. And I think he's also a guy that likes to kind of run around and make plays too. So we'll have to see how he strikes that balance between trying to be that playmaker at quarterback, but also trying to be that point guard who just gets the ball to the people around him.
Is there a thought that Russell could have some sort of package early in the season to get him on the field?
I don't think so. I think the vibes right now, and it's not official yet, I think technically they're still keeping the job open. The number 2 job, I think, is pretty strongly leaning towards Austin Mack. Okay. And so Keelan's probably going to start the year as number 3. And, he's athletic, but I don't think he's a run-first quarterback. He's a guy who can really sling the ball. He's got an arm. And I think when he does become the Alabama starting quarterback, he's got some potential to put up some really big passing numbers. So if you had a Jalen Milroe, type in your room, I think maybe you could try to do a package like that. But I think it's going to be Ty Simpson 99% of the time.
Talking to Mike Rodak, Bama 24/7, talking about the Crimson Tide, year 2 under Kalen DeBoer. You mentioned the injury to Jam Miller. We're now reading from you all that it's a collarbone issue. What can you tell us about that and some sort of timetable that they would like to get him back? Yeah, he actually spoke at an event today, and he confirmed that he dislocated his collarbone, and which is tough for a running back. You think about leading, with your shoulder pads and banging into people. That's I'm sure a painful one. And you have to see kind of how he does when he gets back. But he did say that he didn't need surgery, and they popped it back into place, and that he thinks he'll be back fast was the word that he used. So, right now I think the general expectation is probably the Georgia game, which is September 27th, because he's out for the Florida State game next week. We know that. There's no way Alabama would play him against Louisiana and Monroe. I don't think that makes sense. And then, maybe if there's an early timetable, it's the Wisconsin game. But if you hold them out of the Wisconsin game, then you have the bye week after going into the Georgia game. And I think they'll probably use that. So it's a blow. There's a lot of unproven guys behind him that don't have a ton of experience. And I think we talked to Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, today. You could tell there's a little bit of, I don't want to say frustration, but he's got to figure out what they can do in that room without him. And it's going to be important in those 3 games. You're going on the road to Florida State. That's not a gimme. And, you're hosting Wisconsin, which is not a gimme either. To open up that passing game like they want to do, they still need a strong running game, and we'll have to see how that works without Jam. Let's talk about the defense. Obviously, Alabama's had just an assembly line of NFL players there for almost 2 decades. What can you say the strength of this Alabama defense should be?
Yeah, it's really the back end, which is funny because a year ago that was a complete question mark. They had a lot of guys leave through the portal a year ago, and one of the last moves that Nick Saban made before he retired was bringing in Damani Jackson, the former 5-star, top 10 sort of prospect who went to USC for a couple of years. Well, he came to Alabama, became a starter last year, and he's got all the potential to be one of the top corners in the country. And across from him is Xavier Brown, who's also a 5-star kid from Southern California. who did a great job last year. And you have Keon Sabb coming back as a safety, who's a really smart safety from transfer from Michigan last year. And, Bray Hubbard, as well from Pascagoula. And it's a strong secondary. And it's a defense that has a lot of veteran players back. There was a good number of players who decided to not go into the draft, and they wanted to come back for a fifth year, fourth year, whatever it was, and try to win, more than what they won last year. Deontay Lawson coming back at middle linebacker from injury. So very veteran defense. It's one that I think needs to have a better pass rush than last year. They were not particularly strong in that area. LT Overton is probably their best pass rusher. He only had 2 sacks last year. So that's probably the biggest question mark. But the secondary can be a real strength of this team, and they're deep. I mean, they got layers of 5-star kids at corner especially. So that's, think of the LSU game last year. They really shut down Garrett Nussmeier. I think they can do that again this year.
What is your sense of how this season goes in Tuscaloosa? I realize I could ask you what's the expectation. The expectations there is going to be to make the playoff and make a push at this thing. What is your sense of how this team looks through the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can really be strong at home like they were last year. I think the LSU game at home, the Tennessee game at home, those should be games that they win. I think the season's we're gonna find out really soon though what they can do on the road. When you talk about opening at Florida State, which is something Alabama's not done in 25 years, and with opening with the road game, and then having to go to Georgia, before the end of September, those 2 games we're going to find out real quick, kind of what the direction of the season is. And if they win both of them, like they did last year, it was a pretty strong September, I think people will feel pretty good. But you still need to take care of business and not have just the mind-boggling mistakes and slip-ups like they had last year at Vandy, like they had last year going to Oklahoma, even like they had in the bowl game against Michigan. Michigan was missing tons of players, and they still lost to them. So it was a hard team to explain last year. If you can kind of clean that up and become a little bit more consistent this year, they should be a playoff team. They should be a team that's probably pushing to be at least in the semifinals. But I don't know. It's an interesting time in Tuscaloosa. It's not like it was 5-6 years ago where, you're booking your flights to, the playoff games or whatever it is. You're already thinking ahead. Like you kind of have to go week by week now, covering the team, and it starts with next week in Tallahassee. That is not a gimme, and we'll have to see what Gus Malzahn has up his sleeve, because I know Alabama fans kind of have bad memories of him at Auburn, at least from a couple of those games.
No question about it. We'll certainly be watching LSU and Clemson, the nightcap on next Saturday. Mike, we appreciate some time. Enjoy the football.
Will do. Thank you.
He's Mike Rodak from Bama 247. It's interesting because I believe in the Alabama roster. I think that their wide receiver core is obviously loaded. He talked about the defensive backs and how good they're going to be. Pass rush is a bit of a concern with everybody who covers Alabama, but it feels like they've got dudes on the defensive front. The question is Ty Simpson like really, really good, or is he just really, really mediocre? And if he's really, really, really mediocre, which is a possibility, like you can't win at the highest level. You cannot camouflage a quarterback this day and age, I don't think. You could 15 years ago with just a world-class defense. I don't think it's possible anymore. I think you have to be able to go out there and score. And I'm not telling you that I think Ty Simpson's wildly mediocre. I don't know. He might be. He's a 5-star recruit. He's been in the program 4 years. He might be the first-team all-league quarterback this year. And if he is, Bama's going to win the league, and they're going to potentially win a national championship. But the possibility is there that he's just not it. And if you've got to dip back into your quarterback bag, that's bad. So that's going to be the big issue for Alabama. I'm curious to see kind of how it works out. So that's your look at the Crimson Tide at this point in the calendar. Alabama and Florida State coming at you next weekend. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, we'll find something to talk about. I think it's LSU football, but I'll have to look in the break. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Always love telling you about my friend Daryl May, who is looking to help you. He's looking to help you find some land outside the city. If you're looking for acreage, whether that's 30 acres, 300 acres, 500 acres, you can find it with Daryl May of Trusty Properties. Now, Daryl grew up in Baton Rouge. He's a proud Catholic high, an LSU grad, and he's built his life now in St. Francisville. Before he's a realtor, he was a builder, so he knows homes from the ground up. So whether you're buying, selling, exploring options, Daryl is here to help you. So call him with Trusty Properties. He's got local roots, honest advice, and the experience you can trust in West Felicia. And, of course, I got to give you Daryl's number. If you're looking for land and you want to check in with Daryl, you can do so at 225-268-6915. Again, that's 225-268-6915. Mississippi, licensed there. Woodville, Natchez, anywhere up there if you're looking for hunting land. Of course, right here in the Felicianas, Point Capee, wherever you may find some land here in our great state, Daryl May can help you with Trusty Properties, a name you can trust.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You heard my tease there, if you want to call it that, in the last segment. I didn't really tell you what we were going to talk about because I didn't want to pull up my document that had the next segment schedule because I was watching the Cubs game, and the Cubs hit a 3-run home run, so it was a rare moment of extreme joy for me in the last 6 weeks of Cubs baseball. But once that 3-run homer was over, I did go back to the doc, and we do have a segment planned here. So let's get into it. John Summerall, Tulane's head coach, was holding a press conference. I believe it was today. I got this video from Garland Gillen, who down there in New Orleans, who posted this on his Twitter feed. And somehow or another, LSU came up. I don't know if John Summerall was asked about it. I don't know if he brought it up. I don't really care. It's not really the point. But this is what he had to say about Tulane and LSU playing one another. And I'll have some comments on LSU and Tulane after we hear from John Sumrall.
They're LSU. I mean, it's kind of a known brand. They're ranked in the top 10 this year, I think, already before the season. It's 2 hours away, or hour and 45 minutes away. I don't have to get on a plane. There's a ton of, there would be a sellout crowd wherever it was played. Not that there won't be a sellout crowd, but I think, like last year we played Kansas State here at home, and this year we played Northwestern, and last year they played, I think, UCLA or somebody. I think Tulane at LSU would get a better crowd than UCLA at LSU. And so I don't know. I'm a proponent of that forever. When I was at Troy, I wanted to play, I thought it'd be great for us and for the other schools to play Alabama and Auburn. Like, I just think it makes sense. Ohio State does it. They play everybody in the state, I think. I don't know. I mean, it seems like they do. And it makes too much sense to me. Look, I have a ton of respect for LSU. I mean, some people might think I'm stupid for even bringing up why should we play them, because they're really, really talented. I mean, they got like a team full of 5-stars. I mean, I've been over there. I respect Brian Kelly. Got friends on that staff. I just think it's good for the state of Louisiana. It'd be good for college football.
Okay. So that is John Sumrall talking about LSU and Tulane. I want to mention a couple things. There are a couple different ways I want to go with this. As far as LSU and Tulane drawing a much better crowd than UCLA, or Tulane and LSU definitely selling out either place, I have no doubt LSU and Tulane can sell out Ullman. It seats like 11. I don't think LSU and Tulane would sell out Tiger Stadium in September. That's just my hunch. Tulane doesn't have any fans. And certainly they're not going to make an impact inside Tiger Stadium, where they don't often sell out Tiger Stadium. It's a big place. And if you're not perfect weather with a monster opponent and, LSU's really good, like it's hard to do. So I'm not blaming him for saying that. Like, he doesn't know anything about LSU and selling tickets and whatnot. He's speaking for Tulane. And it certainly would be great for Tulane to play LSU, because you play in one of the great environments in college football, and you got an opportunity to spring a big upset, and you get onto the SEC network or maybe ESPN, and like, that's all great for Tulane, certainly. And Tulane has done a really good job at building its football program over the last 5-6 years. I think that they hired Willie Fritz, which is a great hire. I think that John Sumrall is a great hire. And I also think that pairing those with the building of Ullman Uptown has been great for Tulane. Playing in an empty Superdome is terrible. Building a nice, intimate Uptown stadium where a lot of people can walk to Ullman and will. Like, I've got friends who don't like Tulane at all, don't care about Tulane at all, but they'll bring their 8-year-old to Ullman because they can watch a game pretty close to the field. You can get a beer and you can get the kids popcorn and you can watch a college football game and you don't have to fight massive traffic leaving. And what they've built over there is absolutely respectable. And they went to a Cotton Bowl, and that's awesome. And they've done a great job at Tulane. LSU gets nothing out of playing Tulane. Nothing. The state of Louisiana, to me, gets very little out of LSU playing Tulane. Certainly, you keep some things in state, and I think that's why LSU's playing Louisiana Tech and Southeastern this year, and they played Nichols last year, and they played Grambling and Tulane, Grambling and Southern, and they played McNeese, and if they play Tulane, that's fine. But to act like it would be some sort of big boon to the college football world or to the state of Louisiana, as if Tulane and LSU can rekindle some sort of rivalry that I think died in the 50s, I think we're probably overshooting things a little bit there. Let's not try to overstate what could be. And this goes back to a point I've made a couple times during talking season with coaches at microphones. Their job is not to necessarily speak the truth in front of those microphones. Their job is to speak to their benefit, to their program's benefit. To say things, this is conference commissioners, it's head coaches, athletic directors, do things and say things that elevates your platform, elevates your brand, and benefit your situation. And certainly John Sumrall coming out and saying, yeah, we want to play LSU, like we want to do that. That benefits Tulane, because then all of a sudden you can turn that around, why won't LSU play Tulane? Well, LSU played Tulane in 2009. LSU played Tulane in 2007, went to New Orleans to do that, did some Katrina fundraising in that game. But let's not make this more than it is. LSU doesn't really get anything out of its non-conference outside of the one power conference team they play. And you look at the American, and it's just a different world. Like, Charlotte is not a big rival of North Carolina. East Carolina is not a big rival of NC State. UAB not playing for keeps against Auburn. Temple and Penn State don't really go at it, right? It's just a different world. And while Tulane would have an opportunity to spring an upset and get the opportunity to be on national television, LSU is just writing another check. So this is not a situation where LSU is sort of terrified of playing Tulane. It's not a situation where LSU is depriving Tulane of something. It's not a situation where LSU is avoiding things. And it's not taking away from the state or the sport. And it doesn't make too much sense, I use air quotes, for LSU to play Tulane. If LSU wants to put Tulane on the schedule, fine. If they want to put Rice on the schedule, fine. They want to put Troy on the schedule, well, that's gone. Fine. But I think this is just a nothing burger as far as a story to me. Again, Tulane has elevated itself and done a great job hiring 2 coaches and building a facility that makes a ton of sense, and they've won a lot of games. And it's great for them that Ole Miss went there, and it's great for them that Kansas State's gone there, and it's great for them that Northwestern will go there, and all that's fine and dandy. LSU's got 8 SEC games that are always going to dictate how their season goes. You've heard my song and dance about going and playing Clemson on the road in week 1 and how I don't think that's a super awesome idea. Trust me, I'd much rather play Tulane in Tiger Stadium in week 1 than go on the road to play Clemson. I think it just makes more sense in terms of trying to win a national championship. But this is just John Summerall a little bit talking about things he doesn't know much about when it comes to LSU selling tickets. And I think when it comes to what kind of draw Tulane is from a perspective of television and from a perspective of getting in people inside the stadium. And I think that it's basically a nothing burger as far as a story goes. But it's another coach talking about LSU in the state, and I thought it would be reasonable for me to address things here. I'll ask Sharief about it in the next segment. He's coming up, and he's certainly down there, boots on the ground in New Orleans, and I'll get his thoughts on whether or not he'd like to see that game. My gut says, as a New Orleans guy, and the New Orleans media covers Tulane, they would like to see that because it's interesting to their viewership. But we'll see. I don't have a ton of interest in it or a ton of care either way. LSU puts Tulane on the schedule for next year, fine. Same thing as Louisiana Tech to me. They don't, whatever. Life will go on in Baton Rouge. All right, let's chug right along here on this Tuesday edition of Hunt Palmer Show. We will chat with Sharief Aishak coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is that website. Every car on the lot online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. You know, one of the things that is a drag in this part of the world, when you purchase a new vehicle, you got to get all the bells and whistles tested out, right? You got to see how everything works. You got to see all the features, whether safety or just entertainment. And then you get one of the salespeople at the dealership to go through that with you. And generally speaking, that's on the lot where it's 105 and the blacktop's baking and it's really hot and you're walking around and it's just a miserable experience in July or August. That doesn't happen at Genesis Baton Rouge because they consider that when they put their facility together. And so they've got a climate control room. And so when you purchase a new Genesis and you're going through all the safety features and all the entertainment options, you pull into the climate controlled area so you got air conditioning. You can walk around, keep the doors open. It's lovely. I had an opportunity to do that a couple of weeks ago over at Genesis of Baton Rouge. This is the kind of customer service, this is the kind of attention to detail that they've got in everything that they do. Their brand ambassadors are phenomenal. The people that you work with there are fantastic. The line of vehicles is excellent. And the odds are you haven't gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis because it's fairly new to the game. So the next time that you're in the market for a new vehicle, that may be today, that may be in 2 years. Depends on your timeline there. Just give Genesis a look. Check out the inventory at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Brought to you on Tuesdays by Daryl May of Trusty Properties, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Looking for acreage? Trusty Properties is the name you can trust. Daryl May brings you our Tuesday shows. Sharief Aishak, always part of those Tuesday shows. Bring him in from New Orleans. Sharief, how we doing, sir?
Doing well, man. Training camp wrapping up here, and then one more preseason game.
It is one more preseason game. What'd you see in this one in the Dome that you liked?
Well, that's a tough question to answer.
That was super optimistic.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling everybody, it's so hard to evaluate and judge whenever you don't have, like, I know a lot of teams are doing it. You don't have all your, like, weapons out there, your starters on defense, because the defense looks horrible. And that's backups and, you know, second and third string. But those guys are trying to make the team, too, because you have to rely on backups because, as you know, with the Saints, injuries are always going to happen. Offense, with Tyler Struck, it was okay. I mean, that first drive was awful. I just didn't – the grounding, the sack. I mean, I think the sack was on the running back. The grounding, he probably could have gotten the ball out quicker whenever he was flushed. I'm going to go with the negatives first, and I'm going to get to the positives. Interception by Spencer Rattler. I didn't think it was necessarily his fault. Mason Tipton took the blame because he didn't run through the whole route. On the slant route, he could have avoided that from happening. Bad tackling. Positive, I would say that 2-minute drive, I thought Spencer Rattler was composed, made some good decisions. Yes, I get it. It was against the backups, just the same exact way the 2-minute drive that Shuck had against the Chargers against backups. I thought he looked good there. I thought he had 3 scoring drives. I thought he, for the most part, looked solid, minus that interception, which kind of wasn't his fault. And Mason Tipton, man. Mason Tipton continues to shine. Jonas Stanker, Jalen Ford. And, you know, it's just there's some bright spots from that game. Unfortunately, it's not from any of the starters because they don't really play in the game.
Well, obviously, you couldn't wait to get to the negatives. You want to harp on some of those after we've hit a few high notes there?
I feel like I hit the negatives more than high notes. Yeah, sure. Just, you know, whatever you want to talk about, Hunt. I mean, I'm an open book when it comes to the preseason.
Look, let's talk about Shuck and the start. You mentioned the first 2 drives, which were not good. You had the sack, the grounding, and then the 3 and out. But I thought that he looked pretty capable on the big play, and I thought that outside of an Olave drop, like it was okay after that. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, that was the third drive when he connected with Welsh down the sideline. I thought it was a beautiful pass, even beautiful, a much better catch. But that was just spot-on throws. That was an NFL throw to Welsh. But then, yeah, he was clicking on that drive. He was hitting with Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave. Yeah, Olave didn't do him any favors on third down. He was wide open near the 15-yard line. But by far his best drive. Might be comparable to that 2-minute drive that he had against the Chargers. I thought he was just in rhythm. I feel like he was just clicking with his guys on offense. The offensive line was blocking much better. So yeah, I take that as a positive for sure when it comes to Tyler Shuck.
So on the morning show this morning, Nick Underhill suggested he felt like the Saints really wanted Shuck to win the job. That's why they put him out there with Olave and Shaheed, and you didn't see that opportunity afforded to Spencer Rattler in the first game. And he just feels like they're leaning at that direction. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, they're trying their best. They're opening the playbook up for him. They're doing a little bit more, but it just seems like he doesn't want to take grasp of this and take charge of this quarterback competition. And then be fair with you, Hunt, neither guy with each start was taking, the charge of becoming the starting quarterback. They both did a better job as backups in these 2 games. And that's worrisome. For sure, that's 100% worrisome that no guy as a starting quarterback is taking hold of becoming the quarterback of this team week 1. And, man, the way we look at it, I feel like both of these guys are just backup quarterbacks that are still learning this offense and trying to become a starting quarterback. To me, they're just backup quarterbacks in the league. And I know that's tough to say and it's harsh when it comes to Tyler Shuck because he was just drafted. And maybe he does become better. I think the potential's there. But, man, it feels like you're just rolling the dice with backup quarterbacks right now.
Let's get into the mind of Kellen Moore here, if you could. Do you think the decision is going to be made based on who gives the Saints the best chance over the next 3 years? Do you think it's going to be made based on who gives the Saints the best chance in the first game of the season? Do you think it's going to be made with an eye on protecting Shuck if they don't think he's ready and they'd rather just throw Rattler into that difficult start to the season? What ultimately do you think is going to make this decision for them?
It's such a loaded and good question because I'm going back and forth how they what Kellen is thinking about. I'm thinking he's probably thinking about, hey, what can we do to win a little now and protect his confidence? And that would be Tyler Shuck. I think if they're both equal, Hunt, just throw Tyler Shuck out there. You drafted him 40th overall. Just see what he has. It doesn't, to me, it does not matter. If things go sideways, it goes sideways. You're picking in the top 3 and you might have a chance to draft the quarterback in next year's draft. Just see what he has. Because if you're just running with Rattler, then why did you draft him 40th overall? Even if you play him in weeks 11 and 12, 13, whatever, after week 8 or 9, whatever, don't roll with him now. Just let him build his confidence. Let him go through all the tough, hard games and make it manageable for him to start the season. Look, I get those first 4 games are tough, but build it around him. Let him gain his confidence a little bit. I'd much rather roll with him. That's what if I were Kellen Moore, I was thinking, this is my guy. I handpicked him. I drafted him. I want to build around him. I want to make sure that he is week 1 starter, and we build around him and make sure that his confidence builds throughout the season and make it where this offense works for him. Don't rattle him at all. So, you're going to have Kamara. You're going to have the other people, the offensive line around him. So they could possibly build it around him. That's the way I would be thinking if I'm Kellen Moore.
How big an impact do you think Eric McCoy has when they let him play as opposed to putting a rookie out there?
You saw what happened last year whenever he left that Eagles game.
I did.
Things went upside down, and the offensive line could not manage things without him. So he is the most valuable player in that offensive line. I know you want to say left tackle, right tackle, but Eric McCoy, without him, it is tough without him snapping, without him making the calls, the blitz pickups. He is the most important player on that offensive line to me, and I think that it cannot afford to lose him. They cannot afford to lose him for any game, but if they are going to lose him, it can't be more than a game. It's just, man, it goes sideways and ugly so quickly without him on the field.
Has Kendre Miller shown you anything?
He showed me some strength and fight. I mean, there were a couple of plays where he's hitting the backfield and he fought it off. I mean, the offensive line was sloppy, and it was so hard to have sustained running in the first half of him back there. I thought he was able to escape some of the bad blocking and turn negatives into, like, 1 yard, 2 yards, anything better than -3, -4, -5. I mean, he's showing that he's healthy, but I just need to see more when the lights come on for real. But I think he's going to be on the team. I just need to see more from him whenever Albin's off the field when the season kicks off. But yeah, it depends. But once again, the P word, the potential is there with him. Let's see if he can translate it when it matters the most.
Is Mason Tipton going to be on the team?
I think, look, he's better this offseason in these preseason games than I thought he was last year at this time. I think he's running the route tree much better. He's playing with confidence. He's a mini Lance Moore. That's exactly what he is. He's mini Lance. I mean, they're from both of them from Ohio. Lance is from Toledo. He's from Akron, and they feel like they're running the same type of routes. Both guys, good hands. Look, he's making plays happen down the field too, so it doesn't hurt to have that. The only thing that little knock on him is that all the other three receivers ahead of him, Rashid, Brandon, and Chris, are pretty much the same size.
Yeah.
They need a big body receiver at some point in time. Whenever the cuts happen, they need to go find him a receiver. But I would put him on I truly would put him on that 53-man roster because he has shown more this offseason than he did last year offseason.
Do you have a favorite young defensive player that you've seen in camp or in the preseason games?
I'm going to stay away from like the Kool-Aid McKinstry because I thought he's done really well. I want to go to Quincy Riley. I like what I've seen from Quincy Riley. I really have liked what I've seen from him, and that's a guy they're going to have to rely on quite a bit, I think, because how long is Alontae Taylor out with a groin injury? Who knows? Because that means he's going to have to step in. He and Isaac are going to have to play, so that means Quincy. It's going to be Quincy time. I like what he's done so far. And Jonas Banker showed a good bit this past Sunday in that game. I thought his tackling was the best for anyone on the defense. His tackling, he had a nice interception thanks to the deflection by Rajon Wright. So I think Stanker and Riley, they're the two guys that I like from that defense.
How about Danny Stutzman? What can you say about him?
Dude is like he reminds me of the program. Latterman. It reminds me of him. Every time I watch him play, I'm like, he's dressed like he looks the part. I'm like, I just want to know where he's going to fit in on the defense. Is he just going to be like spot player, special teams player? Because the two guys are DeMario and Pete. And then how does he get on the field outside of like an injury? So I think he gets spot play. But yeah, he's done well. He's done well too. I mean, those are your three, you feel like you hit really well on those three guys. And I think the future is bright when you talk about those, Danny, Quincy, as well as Jonas. So yeah, Danny's a guy that I think will contribute at least to start on special teams.
How do you feel like they'll handle the quarterbacks this weekend? Do you think we'll see them? Do you think Jake Haener gets extended run? It's a unique situation the Saints are in because you're still looking at things. Most teams are very much decided in that way. How do you think they handle that?
Well, I want to say, first of all, I think they're handling this week like a regular season practice, all three of them, because we're only allowed to shoot 5 minutes. It's like stretching, watch 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm wondering if they name the quarterback here before the game at some point this week, unless he's like, I haven't seen enough, and I want to run them out there one more game. Maybe that is the case. I told you last week they didn't have a good game. They're going to just run it back and go one more week. But do they name the starter this week, Hunt, and give more reps with the first team just so they can have that extra week and don't play that starter? To me, I think let's go one more week, get one more game, and see who's the best. And you name the guy, whatever, next week or the week leading into the game. But I feel like time is ticking, and you got to name a starter at some point in time. Everybody else is doing it.
We shall see. Saints and Broncos this weekend in the final preseason tilt. Sharief, we appreciate some time.
Got it, Hunt. See you next week.
Sharief Aishak, WDSU down in New Orleans. Daryl May, Trusty Properties, licensed realtor, Louisiana and Mississippi, looking for a second home, looking for a move out of the city, just trying to get out of the hustle and bustle, out of all the traffic, want life to move a little bit slower, whether that's in the Felicianas, whether that's in Point Capee, whether that's up in Mississippi. Daryl May, who's made that move up to St. Francisville, can help you with that. If you're looking for acreage, 30 acres, 300 acres, whether it's for that home, whether it's for a hunting property, whether it's for agriculture, whatever the case may be, Daryl can help you out with all of that. Give him a call. Check him out online. It's Daryl May with Trusty Properties. He's a licensed realtor at Louisiana and Mississippi. It's a name you can trust. We'll come back and close it out. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Had breakfast today with David Duvall from One Bath and Closets. David, busy guy. He's got a lot going on and happy to help you with your bathroom and closet renovations. He was telling me about a project that he completed last week. It was a classic situation where you walk into the bathroom and you got the standing shower and you've got the big jacuzzi hot tub. This is something that David and his group at One Bath and Closets do all the time. They converted that standing shower into a linen closet. Looks great. And they took that space where the jacuzzi was, they took that tub out and put a big walk-in shower, and it completely transforms the look and functionality of that bathroom. We were talking about tub-to-shower conversion, something that I tell you all the time can be relatively cost and time effective. That process can be done within a week. If you're looking to get rid of that old tub that you don't ever use and want to go ahead and put in a new shower, less than a week. One Bath and Closets can have you done start to finish. Have that conversation with David at One Bath and Closets. Have that free consultation. He'll tell you what they can do. Got financing options available, 12 to 18 months, 0%. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find everything you want online at onebathandclosets.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
If you missed that in the last segment, Sharief Aishak was talking about this. Ross Jackson texted in our group. The Saints have turned this week into kind of a regular season style week as far as media access. They allow just 5 minutes of shooting and then shut the media out for the majority of practice. Whether or not that is because they're making an announcement at quarterback coming up remains to be seen. We've seen a number of NFL organizations name starting quarterbacks over the last couple of days, and the Saints may be next in that number. They may not be. My contention would be if I'm a Saint GM, if I'm the head coach, like, I'm going to let them duke it out another week. Like, I don't care that much about settling the battle if it hasn't been won, right? Like, I would like more information. I'm not trying to make sure we're in the best position we can possibly be 2 weeks from now. I'm trying to make sure when we're talking about a quarterback here, we're in the best position we can be 2 years from now. And if that means we need to continue to give both guys reps, I'm good with that. We'll see what the decision is from Kellen Moore. It's uncharted waters around here in terms of deciding a quarterback. So we'll see. But there has been a change with the Saints and media availability. So maybe that brings an announcement on quarterback with it. We'll certainly be here to tell you all of it on the station and then, of course, on LouisianaSports.net as well. All right, close things out. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
I'll take it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, light on calories, full on flavor. You're talking 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, but still has all that great beer flavor. It's from the oldest brewery in America and built for Louisiana weekends. Grilling, boiling, fishing, playing golf, watching the game. Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
All right, let's start it off with everybody's favorite QB battle. The Indianapolis Colts, massive QB battle, let's say that, has come to a close as the team announced that Daniel Jones has beaten out top 5 pick Anthony Richardson for the starting job. Is it over for Richardson? Take it or leave it.
His career's not over. I'll leave that.
Leave it alone.
But, I mean, look, here's the deal. The Colts used a top 5 pick on a quarterback that was not any good in college.
Yep.
He's big, he's fast, and he can throw the ball very far.
Yep.
He's not good at quarterback.
Nope.
He wasn't good at quarterback in Florida. He's not good at quarterback today, and neither is Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I know.
But look, this was always going to happen when they drafted him. You drafted a guy who's not a very good player, so that's what you get when you draft that player.
We can blame Cam Newton for this. So, Bleacher Report did a ranking of the top offensive duos in college football this season coming up. Nussmeier and Aaron Anderson came in at 7 out of 13, and the top spot is for Arch Manning and receiver Ryan Wingo. Are they the best offensive duo in college football? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. They're just
leave it alone.
I have to believe, and I think it's fair when I'm saying this. I'm not suggesting that Arch will be a very poor player.
Yeah.
But I feel like if his name was Arch Thompson, like none of this would be happening. I don't think. There are plenty of 5-star quarterbacks who have played spot duty and backed up another quarterback. And like, if he was the best player in college football and the surefire number 1 overall pick and the Heisman favorite, then why didn't he play over Quinn Ewers last year?
Literally.
It was not like Quinn Ewers was the greatest player in Texas football history. He's a 7th-round pick. So I think Arch is going to be fine. But to continue to suggest he's the best player in the nation, I think is probably reaching a little bit.
I think it's reaching a lot. Forget a little bit. Like we saw what it looked like in the Georgia game. He looked like he didn't belong out there. So no, I'm not a fan of all this Arch Manning unless he's on the Saints next year.
There you go.
Yeah, that's that. Okay, so during Sunday's night Little League Classic between the New York Mets and the Seattle Mariners. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred talked about the possibility of not just expansion, but the total overhaul of the league. So these are the expansion cities that they're tossing out there right now: Nashville, Montreal, Charlotte, Salt Lake City, Portland, and Vancouver. If you had to take any of those 2 cities and leave the rest, which would you take?
I think Nashville is going to get a team.
Okay.
And it sounds like, I don't really care about this. It's not like I'm going to go a lot to, I've been to 5 major league ballparks, I think. So it's not like it, but it sounds like Portland has really put its front foot forward. They've got a whole group that's fronting things. Salt Lake City's doing the same thing as well. And Vegas is always looming, and they finally got the A's. So I feel like Nashville is the obvious. Okay. And then who's next? I'll go with Portland. I think Salt Lake City's probably there too. Charlotte's interesting, but I feel like I'll go with those 2.
Okay.
I don't feel convicted beyond Nashville. That's coming.
Yeah, the reason why people are saying that Charlotte necessarily because that's a lot of Braves fan in Charlotte, so it's like that could be very conflicting. But I don't know. Maybe Canada.
Montreal's interesting considering they had a team, but
yeah, took them away. But that's all for take it or leave it.
The Cubs are trying to break my heart here. We've done this a couple days in a row. The Cubs get up to 4-0 lead, 5-1 lead. Now all of a sudden, look up, it's 5-3. We've got a great pitcher on the mound, and the Brewers keep getting hits. It just makes me very sad. Just win a game easy. Win one easy.
It's no fun in that.
That's it for us. You missed any on demand, catch it. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Search Hunt on LSU for your LSU content, updated with Brian Kelly's sound from today, as well as some thoughts with Glen West, Sharief Aishak on the Saints. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with a Wednesday edition of Hunt Palmer. J.D. Pickell join us to talk all things college football and the latest on maybe Saints revealing the quarterback tomorrow.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater.